class, so you'll be able to go back and look at it. I'd like to make sure that we all understood a couple things. I'm going to start with problem 137 and just make sure we work through it correctly. And but before we do that, I want to just talk about a couple things I've written on the board, which are understanding what we're doing in this section of the class and understanding the relationship between sections in Article 9, Part 6. So we start with the concept that what Part 6 is how the secured party gets repaid out of the collateral and consequences for doing it wrong. Okay? What has to happen first? How do you foreclose? What do you do with the money once you foreclose? And then what happens if you make a mistake? So we see in the beginning of Section 6, the default is set up under 9601, and then we have some statements in 9602 about the fact that you can't waive some of these obligations. One of the big ones that you can't waive is you can't waive the obligation not to breach the peace upon repossession. And we saw that in 9601, default is defined by the parties in their agreement. It's a lease payment default because you have a promissory note, but it can be other provisions. And sometimes those provisions are harsh, such as financial conditions. So it may be that you're making the payments, but the financial condition of the borrower changes, and if it violates the agreement, the secured party can foreclose even if they're getting paid. Okay. The other thing I want to make sure we understand is what is foreclosure, as we're describing it here in Article 9. And there's basically three kinds of ways the secured party takes the collateral and forecloses on that collateral for paying off the loan. And I'm going to call these three types as collection, sale, and acceptance. So, collection. We look at sections 9607, 608 on this. What is collection? For our purposes, and I think we went through a problem very quickly in the book. Collection is how you foreclose on accounts and other forms of intangibles. Mostly accounts. Mostly accounts is right here that you know about. What's an account? It's an IOU. So how do you foreclose on it? You can't possess it. It's intangible. So how do you foreclose on it? An account is money owed to the debtor. The person who owes the money under 9607 is the account debtor. So the debtor has money owed to it, an IOU. That account has its own debtor. We call that special person an account debtor. And we see that to collect, i.e. foreclose on that account, is to send notice under 607 and 608, pay me. So the secured party under 607 is sending notice to the person who owes the debtor money, called the account debtor. Please send your payments to me, not to the person you thought you owed. And that is legal. They're allowed to do it. They can actually set it up without default. And sometimes banks do that, right? They set up a special bank account where the payments go into that bank account directly without default. They just automatically go into what's called a lockbox. But certainly after default, the secured party can send notice to the account debtor, pay me. So that's in essence a foreclosure of an account. Does that make sense? Before I move on, I just want to make sure we all understand what I'm saying. There's three ways to foreclose, and what foreclosing means is I'm taking the collateral in payment of the obligation. That's what foreclosure is. And there's essentially three kinds that we see in Article 9. And the first one is how do you foreclose on an account and an intangible form of asset? You provide notice of the obligation to pay the secured party under 9607. Everybody good with that? Mm-hmm. So that's one kind of foreclosure. So the second one is the sale. And this is the one that starts with getting repossession of the collateral under 9609. We talked about breach of the peace and all of that. 610 tells us, 9610 tells us that once we have possession as a secured party, we can sell the collateral to pay off the loan. And 610 tells us that we have to do it certain ways, we have to be commercially reasonable, so on and so forth. We'll talk a little bit more about this in the problems. There are a lot of provisions about this. Essentially, it's 9610 to 9615, and it tells us that how we pay off the amounts, right? So that's sale. We'll talk a little bit more about it today in the problems, but that's the kind of foreclosure that most people think of, right? When you think of a mortgage foreclosure, you're getting the house and selling it. And that's what 9609 and 610 are. Again, you can't get physical possession of an account. It's an intangible kind of property, so the way you foreclose on it is to send notice, and that's 9607. So just contrast those two. These two, collection and sale, are a kind of foreclosure where the debtor has the possibility of getting a surplus. So under these two kinds of collections, so foreclosure, collection and sale, under 9608, and then again under 9615, if there's excess, that goes to the debtor, right? The debtor gets the excess from the collections or the sale of the assets under 9610. If there's a deficiency, the debtor pays what's left over on the balance. You didn't collect enough, you didn't sell the property for enough, the debtor owes a deficiency. Okay? That's again calculated in 9608 and 9615. The third kind of foreclosure is acceptance of collateral and satisfaction. And there's two kinds of satisfaction, full and partial. Okay? And those are dealt with in 9620. So 9620 sets out the conditions for foreclosure in these. Sorry, for acceptance as a form of foreclosure. What's acceptance and satisfaction? It is what is referred to in other law strict foreclosure, which is that the secured party keeps the collateral, doesn't sell it, doesn't do anything with it, just keeps it, and makes a deal with the debtor on what is owed. Now, if the secured party says, I'm keeping it, and it's in full satisfaction, that means no money is owed, there's no deficiency, and there's no surplus. It's just, we're square. Partial satisfaction is, I'm keeping the collateral, and you still owe me money. All right? So those are the three kinds of foreclosure that Article 9 has set up. Collection, sale, and acceptance. So, take a look at 620. One of the keys in all of this is that somehow there's notice that's going out, right? So with the sale, you'll remember we have to send notice under 611, and then it tells us how we do it and the timing under 612, and then 613 and 614 says if you use these forms, you have a safe harbor. A similar process exists for acceptance and satisfaction of the debt. And it makes sense, doesn't it? You don't want the secured party to be able to just say, I'm keeping it. And we have a problem in the book. We'll look at it where they keep a painting that's worth far more than the amount of the debt. That seems like it would be a little bit unfair, wouldn't it? Guy owes $500. The collateral is worth $10,000, and the secured party says, I'm just going to keep the collateral, right? You owe me $500. I'm going to keep your car that's worth $10,000. What? What happens to the $9,500? Well, if it's in full satisfaction, the secured party gets the benefit of that. And that's the risk. So there's a very detailed notice provision built into 620 that requires that the secured party notify the debtor that this is taking place, so that they're not surprised that their $500 loan gets paid off by a $10,000 car. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
You said that the 9607 is typically on accounts?
Yes, I think it's also child paper. It's basically how you collect on intangibles that you can't repossess.
All right, then
Physically.
9609 then is for any other tangible?
Yeah, it's things that you can get possession of. It's mostly goods. Or physical stock certificates, but you can get possession of those. Okay. For our purposes, I'm going to limit, if I ask a question about 607, it's going to be about accounts. And the issue is the secured party's right to send notice to the account debtors, pay me, don't pay your original company, right? I'm happy to talk a little bit more about that if that's confusing to people. The debtor is the person that owns the property that is secured by the security interest. The account debtor is the person that owes that person money, right? All right, yes?
The notification of the full satisfaction,
Yeah.
is that in the security agreement or in the notice of default?
That's in 620.
So,
It's a separate notice.
Okay.
It's required by law and cannot be waived until after default.
okay.
So what we see in 620 is that essentially what the secured party has to do is send a proposal to the debtor. Hey, what about I just keep this stuff? So if we take a look at 620, it sets out in a fair amount of detail exactly what has to be said, right? A secured party may accept collateral in full or partial satisfaction only if, right, because there's a lot of opportunity for the debtor being cheated, so there's very limited, right? The debtor has to consent, as set out in subsection C, and there's no notice from another secured party. What if there's another bank that has an interest in the collateral? They might go, no, I'm not happy about that. Either sell it or pay me, that kind of thing, right? Because they're entitled to get paid. If there was a sale under 9610, under 9615, all subordinate security interests would get paid off if there's a surplus. So those secured parties might say, no, I'm not happy about full satisfaction or partial satisfaction. I'm not getting my fair share out of that. So there can be people who complain.
Sir?
Yeah.
I just
You had a
have
question?
No, go on. So about the account debtor thing,
Yeah.
is it like if I owe you, say you're the bank,
Yes.
and
So it's-
you're foreclosing on me?
So let's make it easy. I'm Walmart. I'm sorry, I'm just the general store. And Fred Farmer comes in and says, I want to buy 10 bags of seed. And the general store says, pay me on Tuesday. Well, that's an account, right? That's an IOU. General store goes to First National Bank and says, Fred Farmer owes me $1,000, will you lend me $500? And I'll give you my account as collateral. Okay, great. Fred Farmer is the account debtor, the debtor is the general store, and First National Bank is the secured party. All right? Now, general store doesn't pay First National Bank. First National Bank sends a new letter to Fred Farmer, pay us, don't pay the general store.
Okay. So the account debtor owes some debt
Yes.
to that debtor, which can go to the security
No,
party.
and it's a great asset in terms of collateral because it's very liquid. It is just money. The collateral is just what money owed. So First National Bank says to Fred Farmer, hey, send them the $500 to me, or the $1,000 to me. Yeah, and then they have to, of course, if there's surplus, they pay it over to the general store.
Yeah. So say First National Bank gives Fred Farmer a loan for a truck.
Yeah.
He defaults to the foreclosure. They have the
So which version of foreclosure? They can't do collection because it's called
so do they have
sale or
discretion
acceptance.
to choose between sale or
Yes,
acceptance?
they do. Yes.
And is that clarified anywhere? Or
Yeah, in Article 9.
Okay, but like
Article 9 allows partial satisfaction or full satisfaction under 961.
Okay, but could they put in their
And the debtor can say no. The debtor has to consent. Now, there are limitations on the way the consent works if it's full satisfaction. The proposal doesn't have to be necessarily agreed to. It's presumed agreed to if there's no notice sent back. So that's under, if you look at 9620C. Under 620C1, a debtor consents to acceptance of collateral and partial satisfaction only if he agrees to the acceptance and a record authenticated, right? Because there's a deficiency. If there's no deficiency under C2, a debtor consents only if the debtor agrees to the terms of the acceptance or the secured party, and then under C2, A, B, and C, they send out a proposal and they don't respond.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay? If you're the debtor, why would you like this? There's a couple of advantages for the secured party about acceptance in either full or partial satisfaction. If you're the debtor, one of the advantages is it's quick, it's easy, there's no sale, there's no expenses of sale, right? You just walk away. And you've probably heard stories of people who go, I'm just gonna walk away from this. I don't want the car, you can have the car. That's an attempt and an agreement of acceptance of collateral. Please, don't sue me, just take my car. That's acceptance, right? That's what the debtor's trying to do. So the debtor benefits from there being there's no repossession, or even if there's a repossession, there's no sale afterwards. It's just done. If it's full satisfaction, they don't owe anything. Yay, they walk away. And they don't care, maybe the bank makes a little bit of money on it, whatever, but they're released from their obligation. They do not have to pay. But what if they owe a little bit of money? What if the car's worth 10 and the debt's 12? They might still be okay with partial satisfaction because they know exactly what the amount is. There's a risk with a sale. We don't know what the car's going to sell for. If the car's worth $10,000, is it possible at an auction that they might only get a bid of 8? Yes. So what is the deficiency if the debt's 12 and the car sells for 8? 4. What if they can negotiate with the bank that the deficiency is only $2,000? That is a benefit to the debtor. They know that they're only going to be liable for an additional $2,000. It's set. There's no risk. So although this sounds harsh, it can actually be attractive because it's efficient. It's very quick. It's done by mail. And there's no sale. There's no expenses of sale. Nobody's confused about what's owed. It's actually pretty clean, right? So that's the reason why you do this. All right, I'm only going to do a couple more minutes and I want to get the problems.
So that has to be agreed to ahead of time?
No, after default,
So,
right?
okay, then we had a problem last time where but it has to be the secured party who says we're going.
Yes, if you look at 620C,
Yeah.
it's the secured party sending notice to the debtor.
Okay, because we had that problem the last time where the woman tried to just take the car up and say, here, don't
Yeah.
sue me, just take my car.
They're not bound. They don't have to accept. They don't have to say that's okay. They can say no. Why might they do that? So let's say the car's worth $1,000 and the debt's $10,000. They'll be like, yeah, we don't want that car. That car's a junk. Drive it off of our lot. Take it out of the parking lot. We're suing you for the full $10,000. They have a right to do that. Okay.
So let's say someone's behind on their payments on
Yes.
a car. They haven't necessarily gone into default yet.
Yes, if they're behind on the payments by definition, they're in default. Right? Unless there's something in the loan that says pay on the 1st and you have until the 15th to make the payment.
Yeah.
Then you're not really in default until the 15th.
So then can they propose the acceptance to the bank to get out of that situation before it would?
Before default, sure. Yeah. That's just a negotiation. Sure. they can see down the road, they're not gonna be able to do it. Now, if you're the debtor and the asset is worth more than the debt, you should sell the car, or the asset, right? If you owe $1,000 and you have this collateral worth $5,000, you should sell it, get the $5,000, keep the 4, pay off the 1. Yeah. But yes, they could absolutely negotiate that, and there's nothing in Article 9 that would prevent that. Okay, what if you want your property back? What if you're not happy? 9623, redemption. This is an equitable remedy that has been put into the statute. It was the right of redemption is something that was created under mortgage law and has been imported into Article 9. Article 9 says you have the right to keep your property. What do you have to do? Under 9623, what do you have to do? Pay off the loan. And if the loan has been accelerated, how much of the loan do you have to pay? The whole thing. Look at the comment. The comment, the official comment 2 to 9623, it's brutal. Pay off the loan, pay off the costs, pay off everything. The bank can demand everything from you. So they're basically going to say, you owe us $1,000, you owe us $200 in interest, you owe us $10,000 in attorney's fees, right? Maybe that's in the contract. You got to pay everything. Comment 2 to 623. But if you do that, you redeem, which means get your property back. You don't lose your property. That's what redemption is. Now, can any of this be waived? Yes, there are possibilities of waiver, 9624. But you'll notice that most of this can only be waived after default. So you can't have it in the contract. You waive all your rights under Article 9. No, that's not possible. You can't do that. But after default, you can maybe make arrangements, waiving certain rights and remedies. Yeah.
So did you say that you have to pay everything if it's been accelerated?
Yeah, I mean, under the contract law, you only owe what you owe. So if there's no acceleration clause,
then you just pay
yeah, and there's a problem in the book, problem 143, we'll look at this. Okay, what happens if the bank screws up? 625, 626. 625 creates liability. 626 limits the amount of a deficiency. So 625, we've already looked at it a little bit. We have a couple problems to look at in a minute. We'll look at it some more. Essentially, if they proceed in a way that's not commercially reasonable and you're harmed by that, you get that. You can get actual damages. If you're a consumer, you can get interest, right? Your interest back plus 10% plus a $500 penalty, maybe other damages. Okay. But the really cool part of this is 9626. It limits the amount of the deficiency. And there's essentially 2 ways that it limits the amount of the deficiency. One is, what would you have gotten if they had been commercially reasonable? And a rebuttable presumption that the amount of the debt is the amount that would have been received upon sale. So let's say the car's worth $5,000 and the debt's $7,000. Okay? We can get a Kelley Blue Book and see that it's $5,000. But $7,000 is owed. And they screw up the notice. Under 9626, they haven't perceived as required under the part. And so let's say they sell it for $3,000. So they sell it for $3,000, the car's worth $5,000 in the Kelley Blue Book, and the balance is $7,000. So the first thing that happens is they didn't follow the law, so they're in default. So 9625 says there might be damages. But 9626 says, first, if you sell it for too little because you don't use a commercially reasonable sale, the the debtor has the right to prove what the value would have been. So that's part 3B, right? If you look at 626, I should have had it open, I'm doing it from memory. You should never do this stuff in memory, that was bad. Right? If a secured party fails to prove the collection, enforcement, whatever was conducted in accordance with this provision of this part, for a deficiency is limited to the amount by which the sum of the secured obligation, expenses, and attorney's fees exceeds the greater of the proceeds that was received, or the amount of proceeds that would have been realized. So that's 3B. So we go to the Kelley Blue Book, right? $5,000. Should have gotten 5. You only sold it for 3. You can't sue for anything less than 5 because you didn't do it properly. Right? You have to have screwed up. But if you screw up, they can prove that the value of the car was actually 5. 626B4. For purposes of 3B, the amount of proceeds that would have been realized is equal to the sum of the secured obligation, expenses, and attorney's fees, unless the secured party proves that the amount is less than that sum. Okay, Kelley Blue Book says the car's worth 5. 626B4 says, unless the secured party can prove otherwise, the amount of the value of the car is $7,000. So what's the deficiency? 0. So 626 really punishes the secured party if they screw up. The first thing is, if the price is too low, the debtor can say, hey, you would have gotten a different price. And second, the presumption is that the price they would have gotten is the amount that was owed. Meaning, 0 deficiency. The amount that was owed, that was 7, and we presume that the value of the car was 7. Even though we have Kelley Blue Book that says 5, we start under 626B4 with the assumption that it was 7. Now, of course, what the secured party is going to do is say, hold on a second, that's not fair. Kelley Blue Book says the car's worth 5. We should have gotten 5. And so the deficiency is 2. They have the right. It's a rebuttable presumption. But it shifts the burden to the secured party to prove what they would have gotten if they hadn't have screwed up. That's 626. So 625 is you get damages. 626 is you limit the amount of the deficiency. Everybody good with that? I think we have a problem with what we'll look at in a second as well. That's how Part 6 works in default. You start with what is default. You move on to how are we going to foreclose. You then, and these parts also include the calculation of the deficiency. You move on to, hey, can the secured party redeem? Is there an opportunity to waive some of these rights? And what happens if the secured party screws up? That's 625 and 626. Okay? So that's how Part 6 is structured. All right, problem 137. We have question A. Is the surety entitled to notice under 9611? Yes. Very easy question to answer. Go to 9611. We have a foreclosure. Now we're selling. Were they entitled to notice of the sale? 9611? Absolutely. 9611A2, the debtor in any secondary, let's see, sorry. They have to send notice. It might help if I have my notes out again. I should have this one notes out. 611C2, right? C2 says any secondary obligor. Surety is a secondary obligor. What's the definition? Secondary obligor. They're entitled to notice. Part B, does the oral notice satisfy 611B? No. 611B says send. You can't send something orally. You have to send it by mail. Okay. Was notice needed for the sale of the stock? What do you think? What does 611D say? Was notice needed for the sale of the stock? You say no? Why not?
It's not necessary for a customer to sold recognized.
Yeah, stock is sold on the New York Stock Exchange, assuming it's that kind of stock, it's publicly traded. There's no risk of getting the price wrong. It's whatever it sells for on that day, and we can look it up. So the notice is immaterial, right? It doesn't help prevent things. The purpose of the notice is to help the debtor avoid bad situations. Like they're selling at too low a price, there aren't enough people at the sale, all those things. But if you sell on a market, like the stock exchange, there's no risk. What if the collateral is tomatoes? 611D, what does it say? Do you need notice? Perishable. The goods are perishable. You can sell without giving the proper notice. Right? We don't want there to be 10 days. How quickly do tomatoes rot? Right? You just gotta sell them. Done. So perishable goods don't need notice. All right. How about the equipment? Was notice needed for the equipment? Yes. I hope you all see that, right? Notice is required. It doesn't fit under 611D, so you gotta provide notice. The question asks, if no notice was sent to North Bend Credit Union before the equipment was sold, did Mr. Crowley himself take free of the security interest when he bought the equipment at the foreclosure sale under 617? So 617 says the buyer at foreclosure sale takes free of any security interest that would have been wiped out by the that is being wiped out by the foreclosure. Is Crowley a good faith purchaser in this hypothetical? Who is Crowley in the problem? He's the collection guy, yeah. Is he a good faith purchaser? Probably not. He gamed the system to get a low price. That's what I see here. Therefore, he should not take free of that security interest. He's not a good faith purchaser, so 617 shouldn't save him, right? 9617B. A transferee that acts in good faith takes free. He's not in good faith. So I think Crowley takes subject to North Bend's security interest. Okay. Notice under question C. Notice that they messed up. There's no paragraph return. Should we talk about this? Should Mrs. Miller have gotten notice? Yes. She should have gotten notice. That's required. I don't think notice to one debtor, even if they're married, is sufficient notice to the other debtor. I just don't think that the law allows that. It might be in one letter, but they need to be both addressed, at least. Preferably sent separately. Question D. Does 611 require the, does 611 require the creditor whom notice is returned by the post office to take further steps to notify the debtor? So they sent the letter, return receipt requested. Does everybody know what that is? No, okay. So you go to the post office and you walk in and you say, I want to send a letter, return receipt requested. They pull out this little green card and you put your name and address on the green card. They take the letter to the person and hand it to them, and when the person receives the letter, they have to sign that card that they received it. The postman takes the green card off and puts it in the mail and sends it back to you. That's return receipt requested. That means you have proof that it was received, right? It's like sending an email. I think certain types of, sometimes you can, maybe not email, but text messages, you can turn on getting a receipt, exactly the same thing. That has been read. It's the confirmation that the letter was got there. They got confirmation that he didn't get it. It was returned. Should they have done more to notify? Yes, not commercially reasonable. Commercially reasonable requires that you take the steps necessary to try and make sure things are going to go as planned, right? So I would say yes, that's not commercially reasonable. Question E. Since the restaurant equipment is also named as collateral in the junior file financing statement, must the bank notify that secured party of the resale? They direct us to 611C and E. What does it say? We have to provide notice to the junior secured party. Anybody? All right, you should know the answer to this, because it is, if you're the junior secured party, you want to know that a sale is going to occur because you want to be able to protect yourself. Maybe you want to go to the sale and purchase the collateral. If you look at 611C3B, anybody that has a financing statement filed, and we're not going to spend any time doing this calculation, but if you look at E, the way you comply with C3B is to do a search of the index. So if you don't do a search of the index of the file financing statements, you have made a mistake. That secured party may be able to sue under 625 to get paid off by the foreclosing secured party who didn't get proper notice. But under 9617, the buyer still takes free even if that violation has occurred. Okay? F, who has the burden of proof? 626A2. Creditor, right? But how does that kick in? How does the burden of proof kick in under 626A1? What is the, in order for the secured party to have to establish their commercial reasonableness, what has to happen first? 626A1. But no, doesn't it say that it has to be put at issue? No. Who has to put it in issue? The debtor has to say you didn't use commercial reasonable practices, and then 626A2 shifts the burden of proof back to the secured party, and they have to establish commercial reasonableness. So they're going to have to put in evidence of everything they did. They don't put any evidence in, it's a rebuttable presumption, they haven't rebutted the presumption, deemed not to be commercially reasonable. F. Who has, if Crowley has given the equipment sale no publicity, has a public sale occurred? Take a look at the comment 7 to 610. It says meaningful opportunity is meant to imply that some form of advertisement or public notice must precede the sale. If there's no notice, it's not a public sale, and it would not be commercially reasonable. Okay? And remember, Crowley bought at that sale. Is the secured party, Crowley represents the secured party, is the secured party allowed to buy from a private sale? Not if it doesn't meet the requirements. If you look at 610, it says, secured party may purchase at a private disposition only if the collateral is of a kind customarily sold in a recognized market, and the equipment is not. So therefore, it's commercially unreasonable. He shouldn't have purchased in the prices at risk. What section limits the deficiency if the secured party screws up? Just told you, 626. So remember, if the secured party screws up, we go to 626, and there's a limitation on what the deficiency will be. G asks, H, when a secured party repossesses goods and sells them at a foreclosure sale, will this give rise to Article 2 sales? Don't care. Don't worry about it. I'm not going to test you on warranties. Forget it. Okay? All right. I know I'm moving quickly. I want to get through them as much as possible. I'm running a little bit behind here, but I think it's important because it does, this stuff does do a good review. Questions about 137? Feel pretty good about that? No? All right, before we move on, is there anything out of this that is particularly troubling? The whole darn course. I get it.
Just one like everything.
Okay. I think 137 is a very good problem. It works you through all of the steps that are necessary for having a good sale under Article 9. Okay? right? So take some time, go back and review 137, and contact me if you have questions about question 137. It's a good question that outlines a lot of the issues that come up with sale and deficiency, right? Or mostly sale, right? The notice and so on. All right, the RJ case is just a great example of a secure. I mean, if you the RJ, what's the name? RJ of Tennessee versus Blankenship, Melton. I mean, there's nothing in this case that's a good practice by the secured party. It was clearly designed by the secured party to ensure that the debtor that was his nephews got every advantage possible out of the foreclosure, and Blankenship, who was a former partner that apparently they no longer liked each other, had to pay the full deficiency. And the court is very harsh on the secured party and says you essentially get nothing because you didn't follow any proper procedures. There's a lot of protection for secured parties in Article 9. If you do things according to the rules, you're entitled to whatever deficiency. And the presumption is that whatever price you get is a good price. Low price is not a justification for claiming something's commercially unreasonable. 627, right? You have to establish something else. It's not enough that the price was low. Low price is okay. But if you have all these other things that are not good procedure, then all of the rights kick in.
Not even if it's like super low?
Well, so remember, all the debtor has to do under 626A1 is say, I don't think you followed the procedures that were commercially reasonable. And then all the responsibility falls to the secured party to prove that everything is reasonable.
Oh, so they don't have anything to back that.
All it does is they have to put it at issue, and then that creates a rebuttable presumption that has to be overcome by the secured party. The secured party has to establish that everything they did was commercially reasonable.
Why wouldn't everybody do that then?
Because they don't know. Yeah, they should. Obviously, if you're represented by a lawyer that knows how this works, of course, that's the first thing you're going to do. Your procedures were not commercially reasonable. And then all of a sudden now, all that's going to come into issue. Low price by itself, not enough. But if they've screwed up notice, if they've sold too quickly, if there's something else, then you have now the opportunity to really challenge it. Okay, 138. I don't really care about too much except to say that this is a secure transaction and they didn't follow the Article 9 procedures. That's all this is saying. They have this weird conditional sale setup that this car dealership is doing, and then they repossess the car and resell it, and they don't give notice, and they don't do anything properly. It's an Article 9 transaction because it's a sale with a security interest. And they're like, we'll see if we get financing. No, once the guy drives off the lot with the car, that's a sale, and it's a secure transaction. It's not conditional sale, no. It's a secure transaction. All they have is a security interest, and they have to follow the Part 6 rules on how to foreclose. So just saying, oops, the financing didn't come through, we're taking the car back, not good. That's all problem 138 is telling us. Problem 139. They hold the sale the day after the repossession in a snowstorm. Was this a consumer or a non-consumer sale? That's the first question I want to ask. It really gives us a good answer to this question. In 139, is it a consumer sale or a non-consumer sale? What's the collateral? Yes, what? Okay, so non-consumer. Is there a safe harbor? Yes, 10 days, right? How many days did they give notice in? None. That's 1 day, right? So it fails under the safe harbor rule. The notice is not adequate under 612, and therefore not commercially reasonable, and therefore what? Secured party screwed up. 9625 damages, 926 limitations on deficiency.
Can you explain 926 one more time?
Yes. So even if the secured party is screwed up, it doesn't mean there isn't a deficiency in a non-consumer transaction. However, in order to protect the debtor, we start putting presumptions into place under 926, which is that we presume if the price is too low, the debtor can introduce evidence that the price would have been higher, and then that's the presumed price. If there's evidence of what the price would have been, Kelly Blue Book, an equipment sales guide, whatever, then that becomes the price. And 9626B4 says, but even before we get there, the presumed fair market value of the collateral that would have been received is the balance of the loan. So if the fair market value is the balance, what's the deficiency? 0. So we start from no deficiency under 626 if the secured party is screwed up. 625, damages, 626, reduction of deficiency amount. Okay. B, is the secured party required to watch the collateral prior to sale? Probably. There's no rule that says you gotta watch the collateral. What it is you have to take commercially reasonable steps to ensure that the sale is good, right? And so courts have said you can't just sell it in its as-in condition if that's guaranteed to give you a bad price. That might not be commercially reasonable. And that's, you see comment 4 to 9610. Did it violate 9610B to conduct a sale in a snowstorm? Yes. Come on, that's obvious. That's what the case says. All right, problem 140. When you explain to your client the rights that the debtor has, they want a clause in the security agreement that waives all the rights. Is that okay? You put it in the security agreement. Debtors waive all rights. No, right? That's very clear. Cannot happen. You can only modify post-default 9614. Okay? 141. All right, 141, it's really only one thing I want you to take away from it is that the senior secured party does not have to be paid out of the proceeds of the sale. Only subordinate secured parties. So again, I mentioned this earlier. If we're talking real estate, first, second, and third mortgages, if the second mortgage forecloses, the second mortgage after the sale has to pay off the third mortgage if there's money left over, but does not have to pay off the first mortgage. So that means the buyer takes subject to the first mortgage. That's the same in Article 9. Okay, that's all I care to know about from problem 141. 142. They repossess the car, but fail to send any notice, may it still sue for the deficiency. So 626 says that there's this rebuttable presumption about what the balance is, but the problem is that they were unable to resolve what you do with consumers. Some states have something called the absolute bar rule. If you screw up, you can't collect a deficiency. Okay? So this is a consumer transaction. The absolute bar rule might apply. Okay. Just a couple more problems before I move on. We're moving on to the section. There's 3 problems: redemption and strict foreclosure. Not too much on this. Do you have any questions about the stuff we talked about now? And I know you have generalized questions, but do you have specific questions about what we've just gone over about the operations of these sections so far? The answer is yes, of course you do. And you don't know what they are. So what are you going to do about that?
Email.
You're going to email me. You're going to come to a review that I'm going to schedule next week. I haven't told you what time yet because I haven't gotten a room yet, but as soon as I do, I'll email you. It'll be after the semester ends on Tuesday. It'll be either Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. Who here has an exam the week of Thanksgiving? Okay, and that's probably the Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
I have it on Monday.
You have one on Monday? Okay, so most weeks, I think we tried to schedule most of the other works on Tuesday. But anyway, so yes, I would like to do it on Thursday if possible, because I know that for those of you who have an exam on Tuesday, you'd like a few more days. So I'm gonna do our review next week on Thursday if I can get a room and I have a time, okay? That sound good to everybody? And I'll email you, I'll try to get that taken care of today so you have the information, all right? That way you'll have Friday to study. We'll do like an hour. And I'll ask you a couple of questions, maybe email me the questions before. All right, let's talk about redemption and strict foreclosure. What's the problem with the way the bank acted in problem 143? You borrowed $2,000, he pays $200 a month, he secured it with his yacht, he fails to pay, they repossess the yacht, he goes to the bank and he hands them $200. And then what does the bank say in problem 143? You owe us the entire balance. On what basis do they have a right to do that? What's the concept where you say everything's owed? All right, did they properly accelerate? No. They have to accelerate before tender of payment, okay? It's not, and if you look at the comment to 623, comment 2 to 623, it says, to redeem the collateral, a person must tender fulfillment of all obligations secured plus certain expenses. If the entire balance of a secured obligation has been accelerated, it would be necessary to tender the entire balance.
What is that?
Comment 2 to 9623. So, to redeem, you have to pay what you owe. What you owe is what the law allows the bank to demand. The law allows the bank to demand what is past due, and if there's an acceleration clause, the rest of the balance if they've accelerated. To accelerate, they must do it and communicate that to you before you tender payment.
Well, like having an industry agreement, saying not have acceleration or nothing.
No, most courts are going to be very unhappy with that. They want some kind of notice to go out saying, we're exercising our rights of acceleration.
Maybe that maybe one is.
Yeah, that's what they would do. You're past due on $200 and we're accelerating your loan. That's what you should do. If he had run to the teller, and she goes, we've already accelerated. Okay, that's fine. That's before. He hadn't yet handed over the money. Okay. Assume they accelerated correctly. How much does he owe? To keep his yacht, he's got to pay the $2,000 plus any expenses that the bank has accrued that are payable under the law. So it might be collection expenses, it might be attorney's fees, things like that. That's what 9623 says in its comment. You owe everything in order to redeem. And if they've accelerated, that means the entire balance. Okay? 144. So this is the partial satisfaction provision. Or sorry, full satisfaction provision. Art Auctions sold him a painting for $5,000. The other pays $1,000 down, and he used to pay $1,000 a month thereafter. So basically for the next 4 months. Finance charge is 151. The annual percentage rate is 18. The contract contained clause in the event of default. They could repossess the painting and keep it without reselling it yet, or at its option could resell it and sue for deficiency. Dudley made 3 more payments, and then this is the last one. So he owes $1,000. They take it, and then they say, we're keeping it. He tenders the $1,000 and demands the painting. AAI refused the painting, now worth $20,000. 4 months later, Dudley files suit. What is the basis for his cause of action? To what relief is he entitled?
9620.
What?
9620.
Okay, 9620, right? So what did they have to do in order to keep it?
Give a proposal or
Yeah.
clarification.
Did they give him a proposal that they were going to keep it? So, first, let's start here. What kind of good is it? What is the painting in this case? Let's start there. It's consumer goods. There's even greater limitations on consumer goods than for satisfaction, acceptance for satisfaction than there is on commercial stuff. So let's take a look at 620 and look at subsection G. So the first thing G is you can't do partial satisfaction at all with consumer goods. So then let's look at 620F. Sorry, 620E. In order to avoid the unfair application of this rule, 620E says you cannot do it at all if the debtor has paid 60%. And that's the total price of its purchase money, whereas the amount financed if it's not purchase money. How much was the painting sold to him for? $5,000. How much has he paid? $4,000. Is 4,000? What percentage of 5,000 is 4,000? Is he right? Is it 80?
Yeah.
Yes. So you're sitting there going, well, I have to know math. Yeah, on this one you might have to know math. But if I do math, I can assure you it will be easy math. So I would probably make the number divisible by 10 so that it's easy to calculate what the percentage is, right?
Is it right?
Yeah, you should be able to get the property back, right? They screwed up. So they have to sell. They still have it though. They still have the painting. They haven't sold it. So what is he entitled to do? 623. Here's what I owe you. They gotta give him the painting back. Yes.
Is under 620, they have to give notice and, do they have to do 2 different things before
They have to, it depends on whether it's full or partial satisfaction. So if you look at C2, the debtor has to consent. And there are 2 different kinds of consent that are necessary. If it's partial satisfaction, they actually need a letter where the debtor says, I agree to everything in here. In C2, if it's full satisfaction, they can send it out, and if they don't get it within a stated period, right? Does not receive, so you look at 620C, 2C, does not receive a notification of objection within 20 days. But that's full satisfaction, right? This is consumer goods, so essentially what 620E prevents is the loss of equity for a consumer. So if a consumer's paid 60% of the price, they get their painting back. And here it was 80. Okay? If I make you do math, I assure you, the math will be easy. You'll be able to round it by zeros, right? It won't be $10,000, $100,000, $1 million, right? You're not gonna have to do difficult math. I hope that's true. Sometimes I say things and then I write a question and I screw that up, but my promise to you is I'm gonna attempt not to make it difficult at all. Okay, so that was, which problem was that? That was 143, 144. We got 2 more problems, right? Yes. Sorry, we did one. No, we had 145. We got 1 more problem. It lets the collateral sit for 17 months. Does the fact that the secured party chose not to do anything create de facto strict foreclosure? That's what this question is asking. The answer to that is no. 620 dictates how strict foreclosure works, how acceptance and satisfaction of the collateral works, and it requires notice and some kind of consent, whether it's deemed or actual, right? You cannot have de facto partial satisfaction. So it means 17 months may be okay, right? The value of the collateral might have gone up, so they haven't done anything wrong. It's not commercially unreasonable. Who cares, right? There's no rule that says you have to sell the collateral immediately. Although if it were perishable and you didn't, that would seem to be commercially unreasonable. If you know it's perishable and you choose not to do it. 17 months, right? You got a big container of tomatoes, what happens after 17 months? Yeah, it's only good for pizza. That's disgusting. Okay. I went over, I always do, I'm so sorry, I want to make sure we got through all these. So that's all the problems. Who here had a chance to look at the sample exam that I put online? All right, so shall we just start with the first problem? Okay, so I set up this problem where I have a debtor that decides to become a writer, buy some equipment, bedroom, how do we say it in Kentucky, suit? Bedroom suit, that was the funniest thing I ever heard in my name. I want a new bedroom suit. Pajamas? So the question is, how do we do, let's do the analysis here. Who's the debtor? And this is where I think you should always start with these questions. Identify the parties, know who they are, figure out who's the debtor, who's the secured party, identify the collateral. If you can from the facts easily, figure out what type of collateral it is under Article 9, because that has a big impact. So let's talk about that. Suzanne Ritchie is the debtor. Who's the secured party? First National Bank, right? Okay. What's the amount of the obligation? $30,000. What's the collateral? Equipment. Okay. And what is it exactly? Was it? Didn't I say? Yeah, that's the description of the collateral. What is it that is the collateral in this problem?
Office furniture and computer.
Well,
Office furniture and what?
Computer.
And a computer. Right. Okay.
that's where I was confused.
Okay. Go ahead. Why are you confused?
Because she got that later, but was there no collateral to start with?
There might not have been. Are you required to have collateral at the time the loan was?
No, that's not what you just.
So
said
in order
we
for that to
just-
work, what do you have to have in the agreement in order for that collateral to be covered if it didn't exist at the time the loan was entered into? Do we have an after acquired property clause here?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So we can just assume. Since
We don't assume. We do the analysis.
Well, I'm saying like since it didn't say that there was any collateral at the beginning, do we just assume she started with no equipment?
As I recall the problem, she has some stuff, but I think they only foreclosed on the office furniture and the what is it that they foreclosed on?
The bedroom suit and the bedroom suit and the computer.
So the equipment is the computer, and the question is the bedroom suit is that equipment?
Yeah, I have more questions.
Okay, go ahead. So
No, that's good. Keep going.
no, so we identify who the parties are, identify what the collateral is, categorize or put it in its type as much as you can. Is the computer equipment for her? Well, what's her job? Is the computer owned by a professional writer? Is that equipment? Is it consumer goods? Can a computer be consumer goods?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Is what she's doing a consumer activity? Does she own it for personal, family, or household use purposes?
No, that's not.
Not at that time, right? So at the time that she acquires it, does a security interest attach to the computer?
Yeah.
Okay. So we've defined who the parties are, we've identified what the collateral is, we figured out what type it is, we look at the security agreement, we read it and make sure that the security agreement describes the collateral. And here the issue was after acquired, and that was in the agreement. So yes, it's covered. Even though it didn't exist at the time of the loan, and was purchased later, it was still covered. So is the secured party secure? Perfect. Great.
This isn't past this, but if they didn't have equipment, would they not be attached until there was equipment and therefore not be perfected until?
Very good thing. So let's talk about that. What is the date of attachment? When all three things happened. So at the time the loan was made, they had a security agreement and they had a loan. So right, they had an agreement and value, but they didn't have rights because she didn't own the computer.
Okay.
So when does attachment occur? Correct. Okay. All right. So on the day she acquires the collateral, that's when they have an attachment. Are they attached? Can they foreclose?
Yes.
Okay. So yes, question.
You just said it really fast, but can you like go back to how you analyze it, define the parties, the
Do that. Let's do that again. Okay. So I got the problem. Oh, I'm sorry. Shoot. The people who are watching this later have been reading this the whole time because I had it on the screen in front of me and I forgot I didn't put this down. So let's take a look at the facts. Sorry, that would help. So the problem sets out all the facts. So let's take a look here. We have Suzanne Ritchie. All right. We know the jurisdiction. Didn't do other. All right. This is a colleague actually. It was funny to me. So we've identified, here's the loan, here's the bank. The bank gets a security agreement, right? They have a line of credit loan that covers equipment now owned or hereafter acquired. So debtor and obligor is Suzanne Ritchie. First National Bank secured party. Secured party security interest is set out in the security agreement. That is, the security agreement is described in the security agreement and the financing statement as equipment now owned or hereafter acquired. So that's how I would do the analysis. Figure out who the parties are, look at the arrangement between them, understand who they are and what it covers. So then we go to the second part of this. Now, let me go back. One thing I just want to highlight here is that they want to give her a line of credit. Value can include a promise to make a loan. They don't actually have to lend money. If they promise to make a loan, that's value. So the value existed on the day that the bank decided we're going to give you a line of credit. So when the bank gives you the credit card, and they say, we promise to honor any charges you make on this card up to $10,000, even though you don't charge anything at that point, they're still giving you value because they gave you the card. And that's the same situation here with the line of credit, okay? So she signs the security agreement on July 1st, and then on the same day, they file the financing statement. Yay! On July 1st, she drew down $15,000 and purchased a computer and office furniture. She keeps the office furniture and computer in her writer's bunker, and the balance is $15,000. On September 1st, she purchases a $5,000 bedroom suit. What is the bedroom suit? She asks FMB to advance $5,000, and they issue a check directly to Fred's Furniture. She now owes $20,000. What am I tricking you into thinking? They issued the check directly to the seller.
Yeah, it's not a PMSI.
Why is it not a PMSI?
It didn't attach because it wasn't described in the security.
There was value, there were rights, but there was no agreement.
Yeah.
The security agreement did not cover the bedroom suit because it's not equipment. Okay. She's got bad writer's block. On October 1st, she sells the office furniture in a garage sale to Bob, who puts the office furniture in her daughter's room. Now, what's the key to this fact right here? In order for the sale to be covered by the garage sale exception, what does it have to be? So is the office furniture consumer goods? Not to Ritchie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Comment 5.
All right, so read what you have from comment 5.
Yeah, sorry. It says, deals with buyers of collateral that the debtor holds as consumer goods, like holds out like in the garage sale of consumer goods, or does that matter?
Buyers of consumer goods. Under subsection B, deals with buyers of collateral that the debtor setter holds as consumer goods, purchase money in consumer goods, except goods that are subject to a statute or treaty, is perfected automatically upon attachment. There's no need to file a perfect. Okay, well, they are not perfected. Well, there's two problems here. One, I don't think it's consumer goods. The fact that she's a crappy writer doesn't mean she's not a writer. And she ceased to be a writer. Is she using it for personal, family, or household purposes at the time she sells it?
Yes.
Okay.
She plays video games on the computer, and then I'm assuming she does it in the furniture at the computer.
Okay. So you think it becomes consumer goods?
But I know that it describes by all the time that it attaches.
Yeah.
But if you're holding it out as a consumer good to a garage sale person,
So let's take a look at the statute, 320, and it's B. A buyer of goods from a person who used or bought the goods for primarily for personal, family, or household purposes takes free of security interest even perfected, and then it has all these things, right? The rights of a buyer. Let's see. Let me think about that. The reason I'm not really worried about this problem is 320B doesn't apply. But why doesn't it apply?
Is it because they already perfected it?
Well, with a purchase money security interest in consumer goods, you're perfected as well. But how did they perfect here?
They fuck. Wait, I'm talking about it was
They filed a financing statement. So can you use the garage sale exception?
No.
That was what I was looking for in this problem. Was there a filed financing statement?
Yeah.
So does the garage sale exception apply?
No.
but if they're holding it out as consumer goods and you saw a filing statement for equipment, then you wouldn't be on notice.
Doesn't matter. What does the law say?
Well,
Before a financing statement is filed, is there a filed financing statement?
yes. Okay.
You're done? Yeah, but it doesn't matter. They're perfected using a financing statement. You're right. The nature of the collateral changed. If we conclude that her writer's block turned the equipment into consumer goods because she's not actually writing anything, okay, that's a fair
But it
consideration.
doesn't matter at the time that it attaches.
There's a filed financing statement.
So the buyer is screwed.
Correct. They don't take free of the security interest, and that means the bank, First National Bank, can take the computer back from the buyer. Yes.
Well, they didn't buy the computer, right?
I mean the office furniture. That's sorry. I mean the office
So
furniture.
you
Yes.
just use the computer, and then the consumer didn't buy the office.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if it's consumer goods or not in her hands because it's filed financing statement. Yeah. And that's what I was looking for. Yeah. All right. So does Bob take free of the security interest? No, because it's a filed financing statement. Second National Bank seizes. Who has priority in the bedroom furniture and the computer?
No, only on the computer.
Yes. Why?
Because it doesn't provide security agreement.
Correct. No security agreement covered in the computer. How about, sorry, in the bedroom furniture and in the computer? Who has priority? First National Bank, because they had perfected security interest before the sheriff levy. So I asked you to discuss the priority of FNB, SNB, and Bob with respect to the computer, the office furniture, and the bedroom furniture. Make all applicable arguments for each party. Okay? So the way I would proceed is, when looking at the problem, first thing you should do is identify who everybody is. Who are the parties? What are their roles? Second, identify the collateral. Define it. See if it fits into a type. There has to be a security agreement. If there's no security agreement, I'm not going to test on it, right? Now, in this problem, I have a security agreement that didn't cover some of the property that was claimed as collateral, the bedroom suit. But there was a security agreement. I'm not going to write a problem. There's not some kind of security interest, at least theoretically, right? There has to be some kind of understanding. This understanding did not cover the bedroom suit, but it did cover the other two pieces of code. Now, you needed to decide whether or not First National Bank had a security interest in the computer and the furniture in order to do any of this analysis, because if they don't have a security interest, they've got nothing. They have no rights, and that's where they are with the bedroom suit. They have no rights, so they cannot foreclose on it. So the only party with a security interest in the bedroom suit is Second National Bank. The Bob takes subject to First National Bank security interest in the furniture because there was a filed financing statement. Garage sale exception doesn't work. And First National Bank has first priority under 9617, and Second National Bank has second priority in the computer. And that's where you should have ended up with this problem. Now, I have sample answers to both essays. I'm happy to post that, but we haven't gone through essay number 2 yet. Would you prefer to have it in advance of our review session? Because here's what I'm going to suggest to you. Don't read it until you've done the practice problem, right? You haven't seen the answer to essay number 1, so hopefully you did the analysis, and that helps you. Essay number 2 we'll look at in the review session, and it's better for you if you try to work the problem, okay? Because here's what happens if you read the answer. Oh, I would have done it, right? It's human nature. You sit there and go, oh yeah, I would have seen that. No, test yourself. That's what I would suggest. But I will post it before we meet. And I will send out this afternoon the time that we're going to meet next week. We will go over this second problem, and I think there were a couple short answer problems too. The first one doesn't really work anymore because it was under long. And then what I'd like you to do is come up with questions. And preferably send them to me in advance so that we can really have a focused review session, so I can answer your questions and have thought about them beforehand, and then come in and it's efficient, rather than me sort of, well, let me review, right? That's sort of wasting everybody's time. So between now and next Thursday, when I think is when we're going to have a review your notes, see where you have some trouble, send me problems, and I'll come into class and I won't identify you. I'll just go right to the problems that people have said. Okay? Does that sound good?
Just in general, if you were to master all the issues for the most part that were brought up in the tax exam, would the video have? I just know this, but
I mean, I can never guarantee that everything's covered, right? I mean, I didn't cover everything in this exam.
Right.
But I covered most things, right? I covered the obtaining of a security interest. The second problem deals more with the competition between the security parties, right? That's what problem number 2.
I figured.
That's a priority
Okay,
value.
so,
Yeah. And in problem number 2, there's like multiple states involved as well.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
looking at all.
Yeah, it was, I thought this was a pretty good comprehensive exam. And then also the one from the multi-state. Yeah. This is the only one I have. I'll see if I can find one.